from Pomona High School, and today we'll be discussing I Heard a Fly Buzz by Emily Dickinson. So, I'd like to talk first about the dashes throughout the poem. What do you think about them, Hannah?
I think the dashes at the end of each, or basically at the end of each line in stanza 1, kind of set the mood for more of like a choppy way of reading it, and I think it kind of demonstrates what the poem will be about later on. I think they have like more symbolism than we do.
So do you think they're just like an ending punctuation, that's how she uses them, or are they spaces?
I think they're almost used as punctuation. I think, like, for example, where is that? The last stanza, stanza 4, they're almost used as, like, commas. So,
Just how she's using the punctuation?
yeah.
What about the random capitalized words?
Well, I feel like she uses those to like emphasize on like certain important parts, like the symbolism of a fly being like it's more than just like a bug and annoying, but more like the idea that she's hearing like freeness from all the pain and suffering that like she's been suffering through, and how it's about to all go away. And she uses the fly to symbolize as like it's floating, or not floating, but flying away into the empty space. And like the idea of the color blue, as she uses more of, instead of just being the color blue, but like through color psychology, as like the idea that it symbolizes trust and like sadness.
So let's talk more about that blue. What do you guys think about that? Anybody?
I think it's just meaning, like, with blue and certain stumbling buzz, I think the blue is representing or symbolizing kind of like a somber feel, like, because like when people say I'm blue, like they're sad, and I think it, like, the buzz is a blue buzz because it's a sad buzz because somebody's about to die.
So you think it's purely emotional?
I think so, yeah.
So the color blue, and then the use of the words storm and air. What color's the sky?
Blue,
Yeah.
In a storm,
it's gray.
Yeah.
Brilliant!
I mean, yeah, blue and gray. Like I said, I think it's kind of more to portray a somber feeling, to, continue the fact that they're about to die in the last line. I could not see, so I think it has to do with, like, the eyes and the blueness, and they're about to die. It's pretty sad.
Just sadness.
Dying is pretty sad.
So what were you saying then about trust? What is blue?
Well, through color psychology, which is like how colors make people feel, it is generally used blue as the color of trust. And like when you go to a bank or like lawyers, they're always usually wearing blue for the color of trust. So I'm saying like she's using that to be like, yes, this is a uncertain thing. Like I don't know what this buzz is gonna be, but I'm gonna trust it because I feel like that's what I need to do to let go of this pain.
So it's like she thinks that makes it right.
That makes it good for her to continue on with whatever she needs to continue with.
Okay, what about fly? Because she uses it several times throughout the poem, and I feel like it has kind of a negative and a positive connotation. So what do you think about that, Kat?
Well, I mean, I kind of saw it as, like, positive because she's saying it was the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm, so it's, like, the stillness. So it's just kind of, like, calm before something happens again, so it's just kind of that moment of calm. So it's, more of a positive thing. Yeah.
What do you think about fly, Hannah?
I thought the use of the word fly and the item a fly has a negative connotation because flies are generally seen as pests, and to say that you heard a fly buzz when you died, it seems kind of going along more with the whole negativity of the poem. Like, you don't really want to hear pests sound right before you die, like the last sound you ever hear being a fly, that sounds pretty terrible. So I think fly has a negative connotation, and going again with the line with blue, but not going with blue, uncertain stumbling buzz, kind of more like negative words going along with the whole fly thing.
What do you think, Stephanie?
I think that she uses the fly kind of to signify that she's about to die, and because she sees it between the second line of the last stanza, between the light and me, she's talking that the fly is the last thing she sees, kind of before she sees like the light at the end of the tunnel type thing.
Okay. I saw it as like to fly, thinking about it as the verb, not so much like a literal fly, but more in a figurative sense, like this is how she's gonna die, like she's more seeing herself going up. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I never really thought it that way, but when you put it that way, it kind of makes a little more sense. Like when they're talking about, I heard a fly buzz, not like an actual buzzing, but more like the whoosh of like the wind like rushing past you, and using that corner, like thinking of the idea that like as you're like dying, how people say that you see your life flash before your eyes. She's using it more like when I'm dying, I hear everything, and it all just sounds like one big whoosh.
So do we think it's a literal death?
Yeah. Because in the last two lines, it's like, and then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see. So windows kind of going back to the symbolizing eyes, like in your soul. So the windows failed, so you couldn't see anymore. And then I could not see to see, so I couldn't like perceive or understand anymore. So brain kind of shut down. So I think it's a literal death.
But did the fly disrupt the death? Because there's plenty of this kind of idea that she was happy the way she was gonna die, like stillness. I willed all my keepsakes away, like she knew she was gonna die. When the king be witnessed in the room, as in God, and so it was perfect. And then so a fly comes in and buzzes around like. What? I had a perfect death scene, and then this got to interrupt it. I would be pissed. I would be really pissed. So, yeah.
I don't know. I don't sense any anger from her.
I think
yeah.
I don't sense any anger, but I do think it's unfortunate that like the last sound you ever hear is a buzz from a fly. Like, also going along with your question, do we think the death is literal? I thought it was, because going along with the whole fly thing, flies hang around dead bodies, and if a fly is in your room, perhaps it could symbolize like the oncoming literal death, because you're about to be a dead body.
Fair enough.
You tend to see a lot of symbolism in things. What do you think about it?
Well, on to what Hannah was talking about, how she talked about how it's bad to have a fly be the last thing you hear. Well, it's better to hear a fly as the last thing you hear than, a chainsaw or a train. But back on topic, in the symbolism, I see more as like the whole be witness in the room, and like I willed my keepsakes. Is like she did know she was going to die, but then this fly came in and it was like, ooh, I'm changing everything, and it's going to be better because it's not going to be as painful. Because with sadness and certainty, it's like this sadness is like uncertain, but it's not the same. Because it's like stumbling now. It wasn't like on the whole linear path of like, ooh, sadness, it's been like this for like 17 years. It's more like, ooh, it's dipped. Like it's completely changed paths. And like when I read the last line, I don't see it more as like a literal death, but like I could not see to see, or I could not see to believe. Or like I can't think of any reason to actually believe like whatever is put in front of me, in that sort of sense. What do you think, Andrea?
I don't know that it is a literal death, because I don't see a fly as something so negative. I mean, as a bug, like they're gross, but it's just kind of a fact of life. Like we have, like that's what exists. So, and I see the word fly as something more positive. So I just don't think that it's that negative of a poem. What do you think, Kat?
I mean, I feel like it's both a literal death and a non-literal death, if that makes any kind of sense. Because I feel like she's dying, but the end of the poem isn't her actually dying. So she's dying as writing the poem, but the end of the poem isn't her being dead. The end is her just saying, I can't, like, her eyes failed, so she can't see to, like, believe that she's actually, like, dying. So she can't, like, yeah.